We're going to dispel some myths about the C1 versus the C10, and we're going to do it in real time with an open door test. So to the left, I have the LG C10. To the right, I have the LG C1. So I've got my color meter running. We're going to see the peak brightness on a 2% window stimulus on the LG C1. We're sitting at 464, 467. And that's going to go up and down on a variable level. But that is what we have right now for the 2% window stimulus. Now on the same 2% window stimulus, we're going to test the C10 to the left, and we're sitting at 460. Now it'll go up and down on a variable level, but as you can see, the C1 is brighter on a 2% window stimulus. Now we're going to test a 10% window stimulus, and the 10% window stimulus is going to get a little brighter. So what I'll do is I'll drop my ISO a little bit, as to keep things easy to see for everybody here. Okay, so 10% window stimulus on the C10 first. We look down. We're sitting here at 640, let's call it at what, 645? I feel like it'll eventually get up there if you let it sit long enough, but 664, sorry. Little dyslexic in this moment, but you guys see what I'm saying. Okay, so it goes up and down on a variable level, but the odds of a highlight staying on the screen for that long, not very likely. So even though it did eventually make it to 665 on a 10% window stimulus, we're going to call it at 664 and some change. Now we're going to do that same thing on the C1 to the right, and we're going to let it sit for a second, let it hit the first reading. And on the first reading, we have 469, so obviously brighter than the C10. Now I'm showing this off to show you there's nothing wrong with my C1. The C1 is capable of being brighter than the C10, but there's a little kicker here that only works on like test patterns, real world content. It's not really like that. And I'll show some of that stuff off. But the first thing I want to do is show you there's absolutely nothing wrong with my panel. Didn't lose any panel lottery like some claims in the comments section have been saying. We're just going to kill that argument immediately. But as you guys are seeing now, it falls down because ABL is kicking in. But you guys saw it when it initially ramped up. Now we're going to look at the C1 on a 25% window. We look down. The C1 is hitting at 409 nits. Again, this stuff is expected to go up and down on a variable level. Lower the ISO so you can see it properly. All this stuff is going to go up and down. But there you have it. You have 410 nits if you let it sit on a 25% window stimulus on the LG C1. So, you know. Now just to run this again, I just wanted to show you guys, we're going to go down to the 25% window stimulus. We're going to click the 25% window stimulus. We're going to let it go. And the first reading we have on the C10 was 414. Don't know if you saw that, so I'll go back a window. Right? Let it take the first reading. Right now we're in the 10% window stimulus. 470 was the first thing that popped on the 10%. Now we're going to go forward to the 25% window stimulus. 441 is your peak, and then it falls off immediately into, 412 and lower. So we're going to do that same thing on the C1 to see what the peaks were, the absolute peaks. And in a typical fashion, just for super dramatic effect, because I don't want anybody saying that these tests aren't real, I'm showing you guys again, we're going to go down to the 25% window stimulus where I say the dimming issue kind of starts. We're going to select the 25% window stimulus. That first number is 451. So it's higher initially on the absolute peak. Watch. It'll happen again. Wait for it. I guess I gotta wait for it to fully start taking. Okay, so we'll let it fall off. Hold on. It's reading. Now we're gonna go over. 467 is where it was, and it fell off. Okay, so that's its absolute peak. I did see a 470 in there somewhere, but that was not normal. But the 467, that's about it. But then it falls off immediately to like the 412, kind of like where you are with the C10 a little bit, but with some deviances here and there, or deviations here and there. So that's kind of what it is for the 25% window stimulus. Now we're going to move forward to a 50% window stimulus. The absolute peak is 353. That's what we have on the C1 to the right, on an absolute peak for that window stimulus. So it holds 330 on 50% relatively well. Now we're going to check the C10. So now we have the C10 on. We're going to go back a window. Now we're back down to the 25%. I'm going to let it show you the absolute peak for the 50% window as I go in. Bam, 366, and it drops down to 336, which is higher than what we have on the LG C1. Again, this is because ABL is a lot more aggressive on the C1, and it kicks in earlier, so you run into a situation where you're losing mid-screen brightness. So anytime there's a highlight that takes up a middle portion of your screen, like when I say mid, I mean like, again, these weird windows like 25, 50, and upwards, those windows will be problematic. So we're going to go forth to the 75% window stimulus now. And on a 75% window, the absolute peak, I got to wait for it to start reading again. We're going to go down. Now that it's taking its measurements, we're going to go up. And it looks like 333. We'll try it one more time. Go to 75. Yeah, it was that 333 solid. So that's what we have on the C10 to the left. And that is its absolute peak. We're going to do the same thing on the C1 now. All right, so now we're going to let the C1 ramp up. We're going to put it on the same 75% window stimulus. Okay, so here we have the window right here, as you guys can clearly see. We're going to wait for it to ramp up. I'm going to try to get it in frame so you can see me changing it. And bam, the absolute peak was 26. We'll do it one more time so you guys can see it in real time. We're going to wait. We're going to go to that 75% window stimulus now. Wait for the color meter to catch again. It's a waiting game. All right. Now it's going. 75. 27. This is absolute peak. So still dimmer than what we have at, it was like 330 something on the C10. So again, it's that middle level of luminosity where you have the problem. From 25 onward, the TV just starts getting dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. And that's why I said the C10 is brighter, because it is. This is science. This isn't a panel defect. You're seeing on different stimulus levels of luminosity, different behaviors, where it was the reverse. On smaller windows, you had some higher brightness show up on the C1 and similar levels of brightness. So again, it's not a defect. It's just simply the way they designed the panel. Now, we're going to go to the 100% window stimulus on the C1. I'm going to show you the absolute peak so that you guys can see the absolute peak right here. And we're going to go forward now. And 190. That was the absolute peak we got on the C1, right? Absolute peak. I'm going to go back. I'm going to wait for the color meter to catch again. Try it again. Hold on. We'll try it again. It says 209 now. So if you go back and forth aggressively, you can get higher numbers, but it falls off immediately. And we're sitting at 441 comfortably. That's where I'll call it. That's its sustained peak nits for a 100% window stimulus, as you guys are clearly seeing in real time. Now we're going to do the same thing on the C10 to see what those numbers look like. All right, so now I'm going to try to show this off in real time. I went back to the 75% window stimulus on the C10, and now we're just going to skip forward. Our high number, we have 198, drops to the 141, and that's where it's sitting. We'll try it again. Wait for it. 279. So that's its absolute peak on a full 100% window as it comes in right on a fresh scan and read on the color meter. So higher than what we have on the C10 at like 209 on an absolute peak versus like 290 or whatever it was just now. But that's my point. It's holding consistently now, so their ABL screens are about the same, which shows you that the behavior is about the same on both panels at 141. And again, holding very well. It's not confused about that number at all. So, that's just one of those things that you're going to have to think about. I think realistically, as you look at both these panels, you're going to hear a lot of people make a lot of claims. They're going to say a lot of things. I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is. The C10 is brighter than the C1 when you start getting 25% window stimuluses and above. Not even talking about all the little nuanced in-between things like a 27, a 28 window, those kinds of things. And that's where you're going to see the biggest performance. I'm sure right now, as we're just sitting here, you can kind of see the ABL kick in far stronger on the C1 than on the C10, which looks wider by comparison. This is because ABL is more aggressive on the C1. So I know a lot of people feel as though maybe I lost the panel lottery when I say the C10 is a better TV. Its ABL just isn't as aggressive. And I noticed this on texts and video games, subtitles. It's very apparent that the C1 is dimming things down more than it was last year. Again, I feel like this is on purpose to make you buy the G1 to make the G1 look like a superstar. I don't think that it's necessarily a dimmer TV, so to speak. I think LG just programmed it to do things to make it dimmer, if that makes sense. Now, that being said, hopefully this can clear up some of the misconceptions we're finding on a lot of the rookie upstart channels. They know who they are. 0 tests, open door, 0 experience with these TVs, literally just running their mouths off on what are they, like live streams that they do together and a big circle jerk. Enough of that. The reality is when you test these TVs and you actually know what you're talking about, the results are very clear. They are performing very differently because of the way they were algorithmically programmed, and that is why we're seeing some changes. So don't believe the misinformation that you're going to find on other channels about, these panels it's a panel lottery when you say that the C1 is dimmer than the C10. It's not a panel lottery. It's science. It's in real time, and you're seeing the scientific result at a 25% window stimulus and above. So hopefully, case closed, that argument officially debunked, and we can move forward. Thanks for watching the #1 brand in honesty, and until the next video, I'll see you guys later.